A norm is a rule or guideline regarding what kinds of behavior are acceptable and appropriate within a culture. They may be legal regulations or social expectations. Norms are largely agreed upon by most members of a group. For our experiment, we focused on violating a folkway, which is an ordinary convention of everyday life and is not strictly enforced. If violated, you may be seen as peculiar or eccentric, but not dangerous. We chose to have Candice dress up in a onesie and, with a pillow and stuffed animal, lie down in various aisles around Target. This does not break any laws, nor does it carry great moral significance, but it does defy the ordinary conventions of everyday life. If you saw this girl over here, what was your initial reaction about her?
That maybe she was sick. I know uncomfortable is the right word. Maybe
Concerned? Or...
Yeah. Thought she maybe needed help.
Yeah.
You can lay down and take a nap if you want to. If I could take a nap right now, I'd take one. Right. To me.
Is anybody else seeing this, or is this just me?
I see your vision.
You know,
It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
take.
Are you okay?
A little tired.
Oh, something wrong? What? She's sick?
You okay?
Oh.
Just taking a nap there?
I was like, now she a cow, she a zebra. And then I was like, okay, now I wish I could lay
I was like,
Did you-
wait a minute,
did
her
you
mom is like sitting there. I was like, oh, that was her mom?
Yes. Yeah, and I was like,
Why is she gonna get like, is your
I said to
child
myself, I
okay?
said, well, I'm not going to say I was going to get ready to say because she's standing there.
And then I thought you were
looking
gonna
at me
take
like,
pictures of her. and
Right,
put,
right.
Instagram. So, because you were like this, I'm like, oh, she about to sneak a picture.
Yeah.
So
You, what would you have done? Like, would you have gone and talked to someone, or what do you like?
hello?
What were you? Did you just feel uncomfortable? How did you feel?
once
It's hard to react to
threw me
something.
off, you were good. And I'm like, oh my goodness, maybe something is wrong.
Right,
But
right.
My first instinct was that I thought, I knew you two were together,
Mm-hmm.
but then I was like, well, why is mom not saying anything?
Right.
So, you don't look old. But I'm just saying, like,
There's-
why is mom not saying anything? But when I first saw her, I was like, ooh. But real talk, I was like, oh yeah, I actually can use that for Halloween. And then my mom was like, oh my gosh, she got pajamas on in the store. And I'm like, man, it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
You went hard,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
But, wow, that was like really weird. Shot.
Yeah.
Like, where the camera at?
Yeah.
Like, at first I was like, oh, maybe she's hiding from you. Because you were just chilling like this. I'm like, okay, is she gonna like hit her? Is she gonna yell at her? Eventually, my phone would have came out and I'd been like, yeah. Real star hip hop.
How did you feel when you were laying on the ground?
It was the most awkward thing ever. Like, as I was laying there, so many people were walking by and just like whispering and being like, yo, look at the big kid. Like, oh my gosh, is she okay?
The
Like,
big
is she
kid in the
mental
zebra
issues? I'm
costume.
just like, please come talk to me. Something. Like, because this is not okay.
Candice was not adhering to the notion of ideal culture, which are the norms and patterns of behavior that members of a society believe should be observed in principle. Instead, she was modeling real culture, the norms and patterns of behavior that actually exist within a society, even though they may not correspond to the society's ideals. Because the violation of the norm was not perceived as serious, people did not confront Candice. This indicates that folkways may be looked down upon or questioned, but the disapproval is kept private or is only discussed with others who actually adhere to the norm. Before we get into dramaturgy, we must quickly discuss the Thomas theorem, which states that if people define situations as real, they are real in their consequences. So how do we get our definition of the situation across to others? Well, that is what Erving Goffman observed in his theory of dramaturgy. Dramaturgy analyzes the social life in terms of its similarities to theatrical performance. First, there is the front, or the setting, in which the situation takes place. There is also a personal front. This is the expressive equipment we consciously or unconsciously use as we present ourselves to others. Then there's the region, or the social setting, the context in which the performance is taking place. So these are all the definition of the situation. This is an agreement with others about what is going on in the given circumstance. Using these, we can effectively coordinate our actions using expressions. Expressions of behavior are small actions like a nod or an eye roll. Expressions that are given are expressions that are intentional and usually verbal, like utterances, while expressions that are given off are not always verbal and are not always intended. They are observable. These help contribute to impression management, our effort to control the impressions we make on others and to create a desired view of us. Impressions are how people perceive us. As in theater, the front stage is the region in which we deliver our public performance. The backstage are all the places in which we rehearse and prepare for our performance. We behave and present ourselves differently in the front stage and the backstage. Finally, there is social construction, which is the process by which a concept or practice is created and maintained by participants who collectively agree that it exists. And that, in a nutshell, is dramaturgy. One last thing. The performance is the presentation of self, or a person's efforts to create a specific impression in the minds of others. Goffman identifies 7 important elements with respect to performance. The first is the belief that the part one is playing is important. The second is the front. The third is dramatic realization. A person stresses what they want others to know about them. The fourth, idealization, refers to the character having an idea of how the situation should go and trying to perform to that ideal situation. The fifth is the maintenance, which refers to staying in character. The sixth is misrepresentation, which refers to the danger of conveying a wrong message. And the last, deception, refers to the concealment of certain information from the audience. As students, our front is the classroom where our teachers and peers are present. Our personal front includes props such as notebooks, pencils, paper, and appropriate school attire. When we are in the classroom, we are front stage, so the performance of being a student is occurring. We try to stay in character by looking at our books, taking notes, and doing what is asked of us. We are playing our assigned role because the situation calls for us to be students.